finish. I'm right now going to do a review of 3 movies I saw for Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I saw on last Tuesday. So the first movie is really, really good. It's actually, when the original trailer came out, people said, what the hell is that? So the director, Jeff Fowler, decided to go back and redo the trailer. So they correct the mistake and people say, okay, he's listening to the fans, and they did it right. And here's the thing, Jim Carrey kills it in all 3 films. He is Dr. Eggman. And in the 3rd one, he plays 2 dual roles. I'll get to that. But here you have Ben Schwartz doing the voice of Sonic, as if he's a kid, which is what they present him as, a child. Okay, and he's fantastic. He carries this character of Sonic. You believe Sonic's come to Earth, and yeah, and it's an entertaining film that just, it was done for kids, but it's so goddamn good. It never feels too, goofy, and they make you actually believe Sonic's interacting with a Labrador Retriever. And that's how good, I think it's a Golden Retriever, yeah. And it's that good. You believe this world. And, and there's, Robotnik, he's crazy, Eggman's crazy, we get that, and Jim Carrey he really plays into who Robotnik is. And Sonic comes to Earth because Longclaw wants to protect him. We see this tribe coming after him. And so he's sent to Earth, and he's lived here for years, and basically lived in this town. And essentially he's never, until one day he ends up being, in, the military's after him because he runs around and causes a power outage. And Robotnik finds one of his quills, and it sort of zaps him, and it lights up, and he realizes he starts following the footprints, and he got little robots out there, and Sonic ends up hiding in Tom's basement, and so he goes down there, and he hits him as a bear tranquilizer, and captures him, and realizes Sonic can talk, and he goes, what? So he basically, they take a road trip to go get Sonic's coin, his rings. So he can leave Earth and go to this mushroom planet, which he doesn't want to, and then Robotnik figures out where he is. It's a road trip movie, and his girlfriend, he gets injured, and he takes her to Sonic to get help to his girlfriend, who I think is a veterinarian in the movie, not quite, and her sister's there, and they tie her sister up, and eventually they get the rings, and then they have a final showdown. Yeah, I forgot this. At the beginning, you're getting the end of the film, which is the final showdown, and then they go back and show you what led to where they are. We get back to this, and then sets us that this is based on the game is the showdown between Robotnik and Sonic ends with Robotnik in a ship chasing after him. And how he beats him is just like if you played the first Sonic game. He basically runs, hits the ship over and over to destroy it, to stop Robotnik. And that's what happens here. Just a spoiler, when Sonic basically becomes a hero, he beat Robotnik, and, he ends up, somehow, I forget how it happens. He ends up, being taken by one of the rings to the mushroom planet, and at the end, everything, we have one scene where we are introduced to Tails, and Colleen here does the voice of Tails. Great job. She really makes you believe that is the voice for Tails. It works. And we see Robotnik, and he's on this mushroom planet, and he's shaved his head. He's got this wild mustache like he does in the video game. So it's like, he's becoming the character. So we get the sequel. Here's the show you the image. This is the second one, and this one it's game 2 and 3. Because in the second we are introduced to Tails. Third, Robotnik and Knuckles are teaming up, and they're after the Chaos Emerald, and that's the third one. So in the second one, Sonic, Tails comes, and they have an adventure, and they end up basically. We find out that Knuckles is after the Chaos Emerald, where he thinks that Sonic knows where it is. He doesn't know anything about this. And Idris Elba does the voice of Sonic. Of Knuckles, and he's great. And you believe, because it doesn't quite sound, kind of sounds like Idris, kind of sounds like an island, like he lives on like he's an islander. And these characters all look like they're from the game, and it feels like you're playing the second and third game with Tails coming in, then Knuckles coming in, and he goes, Jim Carrey kills it as Robotnik. Knuckles finds him on this mushroom plant because he sends out a signal. And we find out in the second movie how Tails found Sonic was when he was in the field when he caused the power. The signal ended up going all the way where Tails was, so he came to Earth to find Sonic, and that's how he ends up, and then Robotnik gets rescued by Knuckles. They team up to find the Chaos Emerald. And Maddie's sister's getting married. Yep, that's in, and eventually Tails and Sonic get captured by her sister's husband. Yeah. He kind of, Rachel's husband, they get married, they're getting married, and then Sonic calls Tom, because they're on a mountain, they get, Tails gets injured, they end up back on Earth, snow follows them because of an avalanche, and Tails is hurt and they get captured. Her fiance turns out to be an agent, didn't tell her that he was. Of course, we have Agent Stone for the first movie. He still thinks he's friends with, Robotnik. He'll do anything for him. And he's just essentially a useful idiot. And so eventually, things go to shit real quick. Shamar Moore plays Rachel's fiance. I'm trying to find him. Yeah. And they realize Robotnik and Knuckles find where the Chaos Emerald is. And somehow they actually help, Tom and Maddie are able to rescue Knuckles and Tails, Sonic and Tails, and they go after to try, and Sonic goes after, and and eventually, Robotnik tricked Knuckles like he does in the game. He gets his hand on the case. It basically causes all type of trouble, and then Knuckles ends up teaming up with Sonic to help stop Robotnik. And, and they defeat, and he has a big robot. They eventually work together to defeat him. They team up, Team Sonic. And this is just like the third game, where Knuckles realizes that he was never going to help. Like the cast right here, And so they defeat Robotnik, and and it looks like he's, he's been defeated. He disappears, and of course, nobody knows that he's alive, and so and at the end, Knuckles is living with them, and he's starting to, they becoming a family and everything, and so then we get the third film. And what's fascinating about this is the director asked people because at the end of the movie we get a credit scene where we're introduced to Shadow. One scene that shows Shadow, and it's like director puts out there, who do you want to do the voice of Shadow? Overwhelmingly, people said Keanu Reeves. So he's voiced as Shadow. We find out in the third movie, and this one is better than the other two. It's an hour and 50 minutes long. The other one was like I think it was like 2 hours and something. But this one's an hour and 50, and with Shadow, he befriends this girl named Maria, and she's Robotnik's granddaughter. Also, Jim Carrey plays dual roles. He plays Robotnik. I don't know if that's his sister or his cousin, but they're both grandsons of his grandfather, who worked for Gunn. Yeah, they call themselves Gunn. And basically, we find out why Shadow hates humans because, well, spoiler, Maria gets killed. We don't know how she died, and so he wants revenge on humanity. He wants to, get, revenge on them for what happened, and essentially, Robotnik's grandfather wants to kill humanity because of what happened to Maria, and so they're basically trying to get to where this ship that Robotnik's grandfather made, and eventually we find out the truth, what really happened to Maria, how she died. It was because Eggman's grandfather tried to get Maria and Shadow out of this lab. And they, and this general, he's a younger version of himself in the past, basically played here by James. Yeah. He plays a young general, and he tried to stop them from killing, shooting, because his granddaughter was there. They didn't care. They shoot, and she dies. And both him and Shadow hate humanity for this. So they want to use this weapon to wipe out all life on Earth, essentially out of revenge. But then, and because Tom gets injured, because of Shadow punched him thinking he's this general, not realizing he's not, and seeing Sonic brings back a memory of Maria when she died. So, yeah, he starts to doubt all this, but in the end, basically Sonic wants to use the Chaos Emerald that they hid, that they said they would never use, and to stop them, to get revenge for Tom getting hurt. He wants to become like Shadow, and Shadow uses Chaos energy. Yeah, and he can teleport and everything. He's very fast. He doesn't turn into a ball. He runs. He uses a gun, and he rides a motorcycle. Yeah, really cool character. So Sonic shows up. He's become golden, godlike, because he gets the Chaos Emerald and uses the power to basically want to get revenge. So he faces off against Shadow, and then basically during it, they both gain the power, and eventually Sonic realizes, he's crossed a line, and he stops himself. He comes to his senses, and he then is able to convince Shadow that this is not what Maria, when they're looking at the sky and everything, he tells Shadow, he convinces Shadow to give up on his quest for revenge, that Maria would never want this, just like Tom wouldn't want him to want revenge, and so they work together to stop Robotnik's grandfather, and of course, his grandfather turns on him and betrays Eggman. Eggman in this movie redeems himself, yeah. And so they defeat his grandfather. He finds out his grandfather never loved him, that this was all about Marie, and he didn't even know anything about Marie. So in the end, they defeat his grandfather, and it looks like he may have been killed off. And so Shadow and Robotnik are gonna save humanity by sacrificing themselves. Shadow's gonna push and then Sonic gets saved in space by, first Tails tries to and he can't do it, then Knuckles comes in and uses a ring. They save Sonic, and then Shadow and Robotnik, Robotnik sends a message to Earth saying that they're going to stop this, and that he tells Stone that he considers him a friend. Stone's really finally realizing that, yeah, that's all he ever wanted. He wanted Robotnik to consider him a friend. So Robotnik realizes that Stone was his only real friend, and was loyal to him. And Crystal Rittner is great as this, her character Rockwell. And yeah, and so they defeat, and basically it looks like Robotnik dies, yes, and Shadow dies, and they defeat, and they cut the moon, by the way. Yep, they cut the moon. And eventually they're on Earth again, and Sonic's running, and then we get another scene. He's gone way past the finish line to New York, and then all these robots that look like Sonic come after him, and then we get introduced to a new character, which is she's going to be in the new one, the fourth one, and I say if you've seen the cartoon, she's the one with the mallet, and she is wearing, and she beats up the robots, reveals herself, and I kind of call her Sonic's girlfriend. I forget her name offhand. I was like clapping when I saw her. I said yes. And sit through the credits. You want to sit through the credits. There's one more scene, and it shows, and you can tell who it is. I'm not going to give it away. You want to sit through the credits because this one last scene lets you know, oh yes. And so, and I enjoy these films. They are done for kids, but they are also done in honor of the video games. They really do. Jeff Fowler did a great job of respecting the video games to do these movies right. And everybody's really good in it. Yeah, the humans are less in the third film, and it's really focuses on Shadow, the Hedgehog, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And, yeah, and of course Jim Carrey's both Eggman and his grandfather. Yeah, and you understand, understand why Shadow hates humanity, why he wants revenge, because Maria was the only one that saw him as a friend and treated him unlike others, she treated him kindly. And that's why when she dies, it's tragic and he's heartbroken. But like I said, at the end, he redeems himself because Sonic gets through and realizes revenge is not what Maria want. And yeah, and they even put the from the Sega, yeah, and the games in each of the movies. You get the from the games, and so yeah, they're very much based on the games, and they do. This is the best video game. All three of them are the best video game adaptations in movies. Jeff Fowler does a great job, understands this, and you can tell he probably played the video games, and the crew that worked on this understood, the writers and everything understood what they were dealing with, and give them credit. They did a great job with these movies, giving you exactly what you needed, which was really, and their third one is I'll say right now, the best of the three. And Keanu Reeves, great job doing the voice of Shadow. And there is going to be another one, I guarantee you. This movie's already done very well. They're not even that expensive to make. And somehow they can make an entertaining film. Paramount and Team Sonic, the company also made this movie. They can make an entertaining movie that you want to see, even if you're an adult, if you remember the games. Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and all that are more entertaining than anything Disney's putting out. Fuck Mufasa. Well, I wouldn't see that dog shit. But yeah, I want to do a review of all these movies. They're all worth it. You can see the first two on Paramount Plus, and then the third one is in theaters. I recommend seeing it. You will be entertained. It's not boring. It's very well done. They're for kids, they're for adults. I saw it by myself, and I do enjoy these movies. So this is Gilgamesh. High recommend. I will talk to you later. Bye.